if you guys are joining on the replay or if you are joining us live, either way, Chris and I want this to be highly interactive training for you. That's the way that we work. We love having your guys' feedback because it helps us gear this information. Even though we have an outline here for us, we still want to make sure that we're giving you specific information for what you have going on. So to get us started, everybody find that little chat box, know where that is, and let's dive in. So my main purpose and my main goal, find that chat box and just say hello. We'll put it that way. Okay, so my main purpose and main goal today is to educate and empower thyroid patients to understand how their thyroid works and advocate for themselves while being able to remove those thyroid blockers and restore thyroid function. So Chris and I are probably going to share a little bit of our story and why we work so well together. And you guys will see that each person is different. Okay, that's one of the big goals and objectives for us, is helping you guys understand that. So like we have said several times already, this is a highly interactive conversation. There will be times where we may ask for some volunteers to share some of their stories, some of their experiences, their struggles. We might have you write them down on a pen and paper, but either way, like, we really want you guys, we're here for you and we're here to help you. Okay, so find that chat box, don't be shy. If not, Chris and I are going to pull you out individually, because that's just the way that we work. Okay, so
sure, scare them.
Huh?
Sure, scare them in the first 3 minutes.
I know, they're like, what did I get into? No. We're really here for you guys.
It's all volunteer, guys. Don't worry. You don't have to if you don't want to, but we'd love for you to participate.
For sure. So a little bit about me, you guys. My name is Shannon Hansen. I am the owner and founder of Sustainable Wellness, and I developed the Hansen method based off all of the research, personal experience, and working with clients and things to bring it all together for everyone. So I married my high school sweetheart. I met him at 14 years old. We have 3 little girls. And I tell everybody that I own a mini farm. So we have goats and cows and chickens and turkeys, and I love to garden. So you can oftentimes find me outside. I am a certified holistic wellness practitioner and a certified functional nutrition practitioner, and some of the other things I didn't put on there, certified in life coaching and herbal medicine and things like that. So love holistics and obviously love food. So you can also find me camping, kayaking, swimming, and I always take dumb pictures with my mouth open. So if you look at my camera roll, you would totally see those types of things. So Chris, you want to take just a minute and share about you?
Sure, thank you. I'm Chris Brown. I did not meet my husband in high school, but we've been together for 23 years, and he's put up with me long enough to know that things just don't get better, right? I just get more wonkier as I get older. So it's great. I have 3 girls. They are 3.5 years from start to finish. And you see this says white jacket, please. I thought that was a fantastic idea. And then they got older. So you could probably relate. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, a certified culinary, actually I didn't put that right. It's a certified culinary nutrition expert. I should update that, Shannon? Yeah. And a certified food service manager. So I said there, what can I say? I know food. And when I'm not hanging out in the Hansen method or my own program, because I am the owner of All About Balance, I am usually reading books and researching. And then I put there nerd maybe, geek absolutely. My family is so over me, and I always think that they're dumbfounded to the things I say until we go out somewhere and somebody says, well, why is that? And my 9-year-old will chime in and say, oh, because digestion rates are different. So that's kind of my story, and I totally love being here, and we'll get to know each other if you join the Hansen Method.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So, hey, sweetie, Hadley, you can't have that on in here, okay? You have to push pause. Okay. All right. So the first thing that we're gonna do is walk you through thinking like the magic school bus, right? Where we're gonna walk you through the process of how the thyroid works and why it's interconnected to all of these different parts of your body. And you guys can see we have estrogen, kidneys, diabetes, children, glands, nausea, clinical, all of these different things. And just looking at these words, it's kind of like, whoa, my endocrine system or my thyroid regulates so many things in our body. So before we do that, you guys can either take out a pen and paper or you can type in the chat box. We would love to hear from you. What is the number one challenge that you're facing with your thyroid problems? Okay, that's number one. Number two is, what is your most annoying symptom for your thyroid? And number three, name the number one symptom that you are having that you want to get rid of. So Chris, while people are typing into the chat box or whatever, like, would you share with us some of the things that you were facing with your thyroid and how is that affecting you? Basically these questions.
Okay. What I face with my thyroid is the dysregulation, the up and the down. So it's like the roller coaster effect, right? So going from hyper to hypo to hyper to hypo to hyper, and finding that nice little sweet spot. If I stay under one, and I know I'm Canadian, by the way, I should have said that. I got to put that in my post.
Well, and I don't think we told everybody we didn't get into like our stories yet. So they don't know you have Hashimoto's. So just to,
right.
Yeah. Sorry, go.
So exactly. So again, it's like finding that sweet spot of where you need to be and getting the doctors to understand I don't function over one, right? So let's try and do that, because I do have Hashimoto's. So I have an autoimmune that went undiagnosed through so many years. I probably had the markers well before I even started having children, but because the symptoms really persisted at a fast and rapid rate after my second child, that most annoying symptom, like you're talking about in number two, is lethargic, brain fog. I went from super smart to what I felt like super stupid. Does that even make sense? I'm not sure. And what the level and the pace I could go at was halted. Depression was crippling. I couldn't function with the children. I didn't want to be around the children. It was sad. I just wanted to shrink down and just be by myself, because it's all I could do just to get by every single day. Now, I'm lucky enough that I went back to school. I've learned, I've done all that great stuff and got my designations, and I've been able to take, even after sucking back a radioactive pill, and I will be on thyroid replacement hormones forever because that blew out my thyroid. I have reduced greater than 75% my antibodies. So that is huge, right? Because they say once you have it forever. I disagree. I probably will have it forever, but I can have it at a less impairing rate. Yeah. And the number one symptom that you're having and you want to get rid of, like for me, it's all of them. Sorry, but I'm over it. I just want to move on, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. It's the brain fog and the energy, that cycle. Brain fog energy, right? Because I like to go at a rapid rate and I like to research. And if I can't get that information in, I kind of shame myself. So that's what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was super interesting for me because I feel like, well, everybody's story may be a little bit different, when we don't live up to our own expectations, our self-worth and our confidence declines. And so I see a lot of women with thyroid problems struggling with that self-image, struggling with that self-confidence, and feeling like a failure over and over and over again, because it's like, but I'm taking my medication, I'm trying to eat healthy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and my doctor's just telling me it's my fault. So that was one of the things that really stuck out for your story for me. Thank you, Chris. You guys, and just so you know, Chris and I don't rehearse any of this. We're not working from a script. This is totally like, this is just how we work inside what we do, our coaching and stuff. So, all right, so let's start at the top. And I wanted to share a picture with you because I want you to see how small these things are. So this area, this white, this number 1 area, right up in here, which this one isn't a super good picture, but that is the hypothalamus. Okay, that's the part of the brain that is telling your pituitary gland, this other little tiny bean thing down here, to stimulate TSH. So I know we're going to get super sciencey here for a second, but I want you to see how all of these different pieces are playing together. So the hypothalamus signals the pituitary to produce TSH. Okay, and I wrote it all down. Then the pituitary gland creates the TSH, then it sends it to the thyroid gland and the thyroid hormones, and it converts in the thyroid gland into T4 and T3. So 80% of T3 stays in the thyroid and is that active thyroid hormone. And yes, okay, said that right. And then 93% of T4 and 8% of T3 then goes into the liver, where it is then converted and then goes down into the small intestines. And 70% of the thyroid hormone in the presence of good, healthy gut flora is then delivered into every single cell in the body. So give me some thumbs up. Let me know in the chat box if this is making sense. I know this is kind of sciencey, but the reason why I wanted to start here and let you guys know this is a process is because I want you to see that we need to be testing more than just TSH, more than just T4, right? And like Chris was sharing in her story, she had all of the symptoms and all of the markers of Hashimoto's, but it went undiagnosed because they weren't testing for thyroid antibodies. Is that correct, Chris?
Right. And to be perfectly honest, they will not test. They will test for your TSH,
yep,
and it will come back, say, in the normal range, which is quite large. You will feel a huge difference, even going down by 1 point, a huge difference in energy, brain functioning, digestion. Yeah, digestion with your TSH. I'm not kidding. So when you look at that component, absolutely. That's why we need the TSH and what I always say, the free T3 and the free T4, because if you're not converting, those two golden numbers will tell us whether we need to test antibodies.
Yep.
But they don't like to do it because, you know, it's just, I always say it's not in the budget.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to give you guys some strategies for that. So, and here we go. Let's just dive into this. So there's also 2 different types of hypothyroidism, okay? Or hyper. So not autoimmune. There is glandular and there's cellular hypothyroidism. I'm just going to say hypothyroidism because it's too much to say both. So just know when I say thyroid. Okay, so glandular means we have problems with the actual gland, right? The gland, the thyroid gland is not working. It's broken. Cellular, if we go back to this one, the thyroid hormone is not getting into the cells of the body. Okay, so we need to be checking all of those different spots to make sure and ensure that the thyroid hormones are getting into the cells of the body. And this is why many of you guys are having thyroid symptoms and not getting true answers because you're still falling in that normal range. The hormones are there, it's just not being absorbed and utilized. Does that make sense? Chris, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so what Shannon's saying is basically it's circulating. It doesn't mean it's uptaking, right? So if we have a sink full of water and then we slowly let out the drain, down the drain is what, say, your thyroid, it's absorbing. So if we only let the plunger out a little bit, it's only draining very slowly. Or if there's a blockage, right, like we have like food soot and stuff like that, it's going very slowly. So that's what we mean. So if we take out that plunger in that big sink of water, how fast is it draining? That means how fast is it going to the thyroid and the other tissues of the body so that you can actually use it? Or where are the blockers? But we do a whole training on that bad boy. So
yes. Yes, this one is just helping to break down getting answers, right? And being able to be an advocate for yourself. So let's kind of break down the different thyroid imbalances that people have, because I feel like this is one of those things that doctors aren't really educating you guys on the difference. And so I wanted to make sure that we at least touch on this topic. So Hashimoto's and Graves are autoimmune, right? Meaning the immune system is being attacked. And my belief, and I think Chris's belief as well, is there is something that is causing the body to attack itself, because I believe that the body is perfectly designed and your body wouldn't do that without a reason. Can we agree on that, Chris?
absolutely.
Okay. And then hypo and hyperthyroidism is where whatever reason along the way, the hormones aren't being produced or they're not being uptaken, like what Chris is saying. So it can be overactive or it can be underactive. When we have Hashimoto's, like Chris was saying earlier, you can swing back and forth between hyper and hypo, okay? Then we have nodules and goiters. This is one of those other things that I see oftentimes. And nodules and goiters can, again, lead to hypo or hyper. Okay, that's just a very high level of what's going on. Again, to break down, in my professional opinion, based off research, based off study, is that the root cause for Hashimoto's and Graves is going to be, again, the body is just attacking itself. There's a hidden infection. There is dysbiosis in the gut. There is a reason your body is reacting the way that it is. Okay. And those are, again, what Chris and I call thyroid blockers. And we have a whole training that we did last month on this. And then hypothyroidism, your body it's underactive. And what your body is thinking when it's hypothyroid is you're starving. So this is why you put on weight. This is why you can never feel really satiated. And your body is just craving those nutrients. All it wants is to pull in more magnesium. It wants to pull in more iodine and selenium. And oftentimes when we need magnesium, we'll crave, chocolate, right? Because in its natural form, chocolate is high in magnesium and your body recognizes that, but most of us are eating, the milk chocolate that has very, very tiny amounts of magnesium in there, okay? And then hyperthyroidism, what we've seen is a problem with the acidity in the body. The pH balance in the digestive tract is off, and this just speeds everything up. Is there anything you want to add to that, Chris?
I just want to add that when you're going between hypo and hyper, which you can still do with Hashi and Graves, because it's based on the hormone replacement therapy that you're on. When you volley between hypo and hyperthyroidism for solid 6 months, and they suggest, let's do a radioactive test where you take back an iodine pill because they can't figure out what's going on. And then they put you under like this huge MRI, which just zaps the rest of your thyroid. Never, ever agree to that. Never. So I just want to, maybe I'm a little scorned from that, but.
No, and I think that's a good point, because that's one of the questions that I get a lot, especially around the nodules and the goiters, is do I have them removed? Should I have my thyroid removed? That kind of thing. Obviously, I don't know each individual person's situation and whatever, but generally speaking, my recommendation is what Chris is saying. It's going to be so much easier to restore thyroid function when you have a fully functioning thyroid. Even if parts of it is broken, it's easier to repair that than when you knock it out with an iodine pill or you remove it completely or partially. Okay. All right. So the next question, and again, if you guys are on live, you can unmute yourself or just type in the chat box. If you're watching a replay, write it down on some pens and papers. Pen on a piece of paper with a pen. Okay. So I feel like today, I'm going to get a little off track here, but I woke up, I had all kinds of broken links for today's class. And so it's been one of those like scramble days to try to make all of the moving pieces work. But we're here.
Oh, we're here.
We're here and we're recording and we're live, and that's just part of life. So, okay, questions. What would getting rid of your symptoms give you in your life, and what would you do if you didn't face them anymore? So I'm curious with the people that are on, if you guys want to type, again, just type in the chat, or unmute yourself. That's totally cool as well. While you're doing that, I'll share just a little bit of my story so you guys know, again, where Chris and I are coming from. So unlike Chris, I actually don't have a thyroid diagnosis professionally. I went to naturopathic doctors, I went to endocrinologists, I went to gastroenterologists, neurologists, primary care, naturopathic doctors seeking answers. And everybody was like, well, you're borderline, well, this is off, but we're not going to do anything, all of those different things. So I ran the rat race for many, many years. And I finally, was it 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I was like, no more, I'm not doing this. I can't keep doing this. My kids need me in their life. They need me to be present. The fact that I play with them kicking a soccer ball or jumping on a trampoline and I have to spend 3 days to recover, that's not normal, right? That's not normal. And it was taking away from the life that I had envisioned for myself. Okay. All right. Hold on just 1 second. It was taken away from the life that I was wanting and dreaming for myself. And so what I decided to do is I sat down with all of my labs from all of the different doctors. And I'll tell you about what I did and how I got all this a little bit later. But I sat down and I got pathological ranges and I got functional ranges. And I compared them and I said, okay, according to the doctor's standards, yes, I don't have a diagnosis or whatever, but according to functional ranges, optimal ranges, I have hypothyroidism. I have nodules, I have the whole thing, right? Then I went to a different doctor and he doesn't diagnose people. So it's kind of a cool thing and really in harmony with what I believe in general, that we don't need to slap a diagnosis or a label on something. We just need to restore the function. And I know that that's not common practice. I know many, many people think, oh, if I have a diagnosis, then I'll know what to do. And that's not the case, right? We need to take this 30,000 foot view and figure out, what do we need to do to restore better function, allow the thyroid hormones to be absorbed, decrease my antibodies, whatever it may be. Okay, so let's keep going and talk about how to advocate for yourself and for your thyroid. Chris, I'm going to totally put you on the spot here. Because I know your story, right? Tell people how you are a little bit special.
A little bit? In what way? With like, what do you want to know?
Well, just in terms of like how you were going to the doctor, they were changing medication, they were saying things were normal, you know, how things were working and then not working, that kind of thing.
Okay, so when I had my first daughter, I would get down on the ground like on all fours and go to play, and my ear was going really wonky donk. I couldn't hear, it was crackling. I went to a walk-in clinic because this was over a period of a month, and holy man, I sat there and I'm like, I get really dizzy. I get this crackling in my ear. I can't hear anything. And and he's like, "Oh, you know what you need to do? You need to go Google the word vertigo, and when you understand what that is, then come back." So that was my very first aha, this isn't going well. I left with words. I wasn't happy. But then doctor after doctor, like Shannon saying, guys, sent to gastroenterologists because they figured, nope, something has to be wrong with the GI. So I had a tube stuck down my throat, and they looked in my stomach because I had GERD so bad. I had to sleep with 2 to 3 pillows for 11 and a half months.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't get out of bed. I'm not even kidding you. Like, my husband actually became a single father for about a month and a half. I plowed, like I would go to work, I would come home, and I'd be in bed by 8 o'clock. I couldn't say goodnight to my kids. It was impacting my life so largely, but because when you're in it, you don't understand until you have that helicopter view to look down and go, I can't believe I lived like that for that many years. And when I time mapped it, such as we do in the Hansen method, when I timed map everything, I had a major trauma when I was 16 that kind of was the catalyst. So if I look back on how long I've had this issue, I've had this issue at a high rate since 16 years old. And I mean, I'm 43, but this is the only recording you'll hear me say that. So never again. So when we have to advocate for our thyroid, guys, okay, so if you're not feeling better and your TSH is in the normal range, you have to say to the doctors, okay, you know what, I need the free T, the free T3, the free T4 tested. And, sadly, I've had clients that had to go and say that their parents were tested and just had the autoimmune because doctors think it's 100% genetic. And I'm going to go on record here saying I'm not really of that bandwidth. I believe that there's 2 hereditary diseases. Everything's lifestyle. So long story short is you can be sent from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor. If you keep coming back with a bill of health that is with no findings, but you feel like garbage, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to push these tests. You have to look for alternative doctors. You have to look for functional practitioners, and you have to look at your food sources. Shannon, I have to throw that in because that's what I do. Yeah. But once I started advocating for myself and started changing my diet and started really understanding how the body worked, wow, it was like night and day within 30 days.
Yeah.
After suffering for like 6 years of like high on Hashimoto symptoms.
Yeah, for sure. And so I want to give you guys some strategies to help you advocate for yourself. And I don't remember, let me see if okay, yep. So we're going to give you some tips now. Thank you, Chris, for sharing that because there's so much there and I don't even, right? We have to advocate for ourselves because your doctor doesn't live in your body. He doesn't know what's normal for you, what's not normal for you, only you do. So out of curiosity, have you guys struggled to advocate for yourself, right? Like what does that look like? Do you struggle to know what questions to ask or how to do that? So here are some tips. Number one, what Chris was kind of saying is find a doctor who will listen to you. I went to one doctor who told me, I walked in, told her all of my symptoms. She's like, oh yeah, She tested me for everything under the sun. They tested me for diabetes. They tested me for Cushing's, Hashimoto's, the full thing, right? And I know there was tons of other things. They tested my cortisol, and she was like, you know what, you are really struggling. I'm going to do whatever it takes to give you answers. And I was like, okay, oh my gosh, great. Guess what, you guys? I went back, my labs were normal, and she said, well, you just need to lose weight. And I was like, oh, I know that. Thanks. But
just lose weight and your thyroid function, goes better. Yeah.
And I was like, that's not the case. Anyways, I was at the gym 5 days a week. I had a personal trainer. I was grain-free, sugar-free, dairy-free. Like, I was doing all of the things. Okay. I was like, if I could lose weight, I would lose weight. So really finding someone who will listen to you and listen to that, and someone who specializes in thyroid care, right? An endocrinologist, yes, they may know how to prescribe medication, but you need, and I should highlight this, a comprehensive program. Diet, lifestyle, food, what other thing, looking at the products that you're using in your home, on your skin.
Environment of what you're surrounded by. How long are you in your car? What's your drive like? Yep. Because there's fumes that are coming through there as well, and are they adding to your toxic load that your liver has to diffuse? And not to go into a big granule explanation, but for everything that we're exposed to, our organs have to work 10 times harder. So if you're already struggling, say, with weight or low energy, thyroid issues, compounded with, we see a lot of PCOS implicated in there, or hormonal imbalances, premature menopause, then we really have to step back and go, what is everything and what are the factors?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking for those root causes. And you need that. You guys, you need that. You need that comprehensive program to know exactly what steps to take and in what order to take them in. Also, ask for the labs, okay? Request your labs from your doctors. Go back to all of the doctors that you've seen in the last 10 years and ask for those labs. And here's what I did. You guys, I started to keep my own records right here. I started to compile all of my own things. There are certain doctors that I went back to, and I asked the doctor, I said, listen, I want all of your medical notes on my history. I want everything you wrote down. And they were like, oh, well, we're going to charge you, so many cents per page. And I was like, I don't care. This is my health. I will pay you the $20 or the $50 to get the copy of your records. And I had that, and I was actually like looking around my desk here to see where it is, because I keep it all in a folder. And anytime I go to a new doctor, a new physician, work with someone, a dietitian or a nutritionist or whatever, I can give them that folder, and they say, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because they can look at that and say, wow, I know what the root cause is, or wow, I know the next step that you need to take. That's part of learning how to advocate for yourself. I have one client right now who has kept journals of her symptoms and things for the last 10 years. She can go back and she can paraphrase all of that for Chris and I, and we can go, oh, we got it, right? Like, we know what to do now because we have 10 years worth of history for you. And sometimes when you go back and look at things, you're going to see things that you haven't seen before. And that's true for me. I was just telling Chris this morning, I was like, I've put together some more puzzle pieces for myself just this last couple weeks. Hold on, I think somebody, okay. Somebody wants to join in. All right, so let's go into the goal, you guys. Chris and I's goal is to help you bridge the gap between your doctor and a comprehensive plan. Because what I've seen, what I've experienced, even with my amazing doctor, you guys, that cost me an arm and a leg. Um, if you followed me for a while, you guys have heard that I spend about $1,000 for my first appointment with him, out of pocket, because I don't take insurance, right? But he helped me see my blind spots. And even working with him, there are these gaps. And by gaps, I mean, he can't teach me how to make the food. He can tell me things like, oh, go gluten-free. And then I have to go figure it out by myself. That's one of the things that Chris and I help you guys do, is if you need to make a specific diet or lifestyle change, we coach you through that process. So the big goal is to bridge that gap to help you guys. That's why we do these trainings. That's why we have the Facebook group. That's why we teach you and educate you, to help you bridge that own gap, either for yourself or to help you know what you need in order to continue to move forward. All right. Okay, so the next questions, and again, feel free to type in the chat box for us. What are your goals? And I want you to like really stop and think about this. And don't just give me an answer like, I want more energy, or I want to lose weight. I want to feel better. I want my blood sugar to go down, right? Like, I want you to give very, very specific goals here and really think about the life that you want, because it was these questions here about when I started to look at what do I want for myself in 6 months, what is stopping me from getting there? I had to get real honest with myself. Was I eating too much sugar? Was I exercising too hard because I thought it was going to be good for me? Was I drinking my husband's Mountain Dew when I shouldn't be? All of those things. And here's another really good one, you guys. There was a period of time where I was sleeping 4 hours a night. I was running on fumes. And so again, I had to take that step back and say, what is stopping me? Oh, the 4 hours of sleep. Okay, now I'm going to make sleep a priority, which sleep should always be a priority, right? For me, right? So Chris, I'm not paying too much attention to the chat box. Is there anything we need to paraphrase or share, or anything that's coming in?
No, I've been working through the questions, and Jen has been sharing, which is lovely. It's the same struggles that we hear constantly, Shannon, like finding the doctor who's actually going to listen, and also being diagnosed with PCOS, and that took years to figure out. And we're saying it doesn't need to. You need to just have the right labs. What we've discussed is just a fraction of the labs that we suggest. You need to have the right labs. And then, any other, we run a hair analysis, right? So any other functional tools that will support where you have to go forward. And just to add for these questions, because Shannon, I know it can be difficult, especially for Jen's been suffering for 26 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, long time.
It's devastating, right? And so for her to see 3 to 6 months, that might feel like light years away, right? Because we're gradually feeling worse kind of continually and going forward. So guys, if you want to lose weight, that is very valid. But like Shannon's saying, so if you want to put weight, please put weight and what the change would do to your life, what you think the implications are, what it would do to your life by losing. So, some people say, I want to lose 40 pounds. Great. What will that give you?
Yeah.
What will you feel? And reflect it in your life, because I know this question is hard. It is so hard. I ask clients this all the time. In fact, Shannon and I, this is one of our synergies. We didn't even know everybody asks these, I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? And she's like, whoa. So we ask this because we have to be very, very cautious. We're dealing with your hormones. We're dealing with your body systems. We're dealing with your lifetime, your lifestyle. Now, the reason why sorry if I'm jumping here, Shannon. She
No,
really
go.
we'll tell by Shannon's look on her face. The reason why things haven't changed, one, you do have probably a crappy doctor. I get it. You're not supported. The other thing is, you know, we have a hard time investing in ourselves, right? So that's another thing.
Yep.
Not only that, we're told it's normal. So that's been drilled into, say, Jen's head, who's with us today, that for 26 years, this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. And I mean, I've been told by a doctor, get out of my office, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's lovely. You know, going, you know, hey, honey, how was your doctor's appointment? I'm crazy. Yeah, I know. Okay, have a good day. Like, you know, so that's what I just really want to hone in on this, because it's so important. When you start setting your goals, you get your goals, because if you don't make the right lifestyle changes, it's a lifestyle. You need to transition for your transformation. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I hear that all the time too with women. When I ask them, they say, I don't even have any goals. Like, I am just trying to make it through. I'm just trying to make it through the day. You know, forget looking at next week or next month, 6 months from now. And
you can't do that. You want to know why? You're going
yeah,
to stay in the exact same spot, and you're going to allow, this is where I get very like convicted. You're going to allow somebody else to take the reins of your horse, your cart, and your wagon and steer your life. And because I am so, I mean, my goodness, I mean, people in our group could probably testify. It's this or this, and sometimes I waver. Shannon's a little more lighthearted. She's like, Chris, don't be so hard. But because I've been through the ringer, and because I don't like to feel like garbage, I am very, you know what? If you're still struggling and say, you've done this, this, and this, then we need to kind of hard knocks it a little bit more. But that's where the support comes in, right?
yeah. No, and I'm over here like laughing because I'm like, Chris just said what I wanted to say. Right? Like, you should be in the driver's seat of your life, and oftentimes you guys are sitting in the passenger seat letting your doctor dictate to you how you should or could be feeling. So, oh man, good times. Okay, so
Shannon,
here. Yeah.
Jen made an amazing point I just want to touch on.
Yeah.
She's been told many times that her labs are normal and that she's fine, and she knows she's not fine. See, like, I'm telling you, Shannon, you need to take back your energy, because I'm stuttering now too. I'm all over the place. So here's the thing. Hands down, you're going to hear it here. Follow your gut. Shannon will say it. I will say it. Your gut is such an innate sense that it is telling you something is not right. Symptoms are not right. We'll also have people say, oh, my doctor gave me this, you know, gave me a hormone replacement, you know, levothyroxine or whatever, and they told me to wait 6 months to see how I feel. Let me ask you this. When you have a headache and you take an Advil, does it take 6 months to see if your headache's going to go away?
Yep.
Yep. Just saying. Okay, sorry.
No, that is, oh, that's so good. Thank you for bringing that up. And I know we're kind of harping on doctors, and just so you guys know, I do have a love for doctors, but there's a gap, right? There's definitely a gap. And so I wanted to bring you guys some steps that you can take and tell you what order you need to take them in. Okay. So when you are exploring your options, these are the steps that you need to take. Okay. So we start at the base, and I really do need to rename this because this is, I put the detox pyramid, and I'm like, this is it. This is like how we restore function in the body, right? This isn't, I mean, yes, detox too, but this is how we restore thyroid function. This is how we restore PCOS. This is how we restore endometriosis and fibroids and diabetes and all of these different things, right? So Hashimoto's, yep. So we start with the bowels, right? We start with the absorption of food. And one of the things that Chris and I see over and over and over again is gut infections, right? People are going, food isn't being absorbed, or it's sitting in there, and this is a very graphic word, putrefying, right? Like it's composting, it's growing bugs and nasty stuff. So we always start at improving gut function, because that's going to allow for those nutritional gaps that that we're receiving and things like that. Once we restore that function, then we move up to that next function, which is the liver and the gallbladder. So your liver is responsible for over 500 metabolic processes in the body. When we see PCOS, when we see endometriosis with thyroid, right off the bat, you guys, I know there's a huge liver implication, right? Because your liver regulates sex hormones and thyroid hormones. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there and we'll come back. And then the third section is we need to go into the lymphatic system. That is the sewer system, right? Flushing out those toxins, removing the endocrine disruptors and the heavy metals and all of those different things that are weighing your body down. And what is the big gap here between your doctor and what's going on next is they want to go straight to the organs and the cells. They're bypassing step 1, step 2, step 3, right? They're missing the bowels, they're missing the liver, they're missing the lymphatic system, and going straight to, what is that, 4 or 5? So let me know if that is resonating with anybody, if there's any questions on this. Chris, do you want to add anything to that?
I was just typing in the chat, so you caught me not paying attention. No, absolutely. It's just how the body is in synergy. And if we don't get these levels and the synergy going, then it's like the foundation of a house, right? We can have, which is our body, we can have the foundation, the concrete. But if we, like the 3 pigs, if we use straw to make our house, how successful are we going to be when there's a windstorm? If, we use twigs, how successful are we going to be when there's a rainstorm? So when we have these things that are entering and coming around us and we can't filter, or we have a toxic load and we're not eliminating, so our bowels are really overrun, we already know that the liver is sluggish, like Shannon was saying, because that's what our thyroid is totally interconnected with. And I'll just leave it at that. We don't want to burden you, because really, this is the basis of what you need to know. But, we don't go about it in this way because it's just too overwhelming. Like in the Hansen method, we do it step by step, and you just follow the plan so that you don't have to worry about this. Because what we get caught up in, and this is my realm, guys, research, right?
Yeah.
We get caught up in research so much that it gets so overwhelming, and then we don't know which way to go, and then which steps to take, where to start first. Because if we start with organs, guess what? We missed 3 golden opportunities, right? So we're never going to get that. And that's what our doctors really don't understand.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for that, Chris. Even for myself, you guys, I needed do this, check mark the box. You guys, our challenges in the group, and I'll just tell you a little bit about some of the things that Chris is having everybody do, is put a glass of water by your bed first thing in the morning with lemon in it. Because the vitamin C, when you're taking your thyroid medication, is going to improve the absorption rate for your hormone, your medication. That's the word that I'm looking for. So, very simple, right? Very, very simple steps that need to be taken. And hold on. Okay, sweetie. Here, I'm almost done.
Shannon and I have really had to pivot and maneuver since the COVID, because I mean, I did a call today in my group and I had 2 children by my side. The boundaries seem to be a little bit different and they don't understand and they want our attention. And so we really appreciate your patience with this, because sometimes my kids pop their head in too. But it's the times we're in, and we thank you for your patience, and hopefully it doesn't impede on any of the information that we're giving you.
Yes, I'm so sorry, you guys. She's supposed to be in school, but again, COVID, all of the things. So, and she's 4. She doesn't fully understand. She doesn't fully understand. So I truly appreciate that. But I wanted to share this with you guys because the big thing is when you're looking for a comprehensive program, they need to be talking about these 5 things. They need to tell you, okay, first, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and be able to substantiate those things for you so you understand why it's happening. And I'll just share another quick story. I went into my doctor, my naturopathic doctor, thinking, okay, great, he's natural, he's holistic, and ran my thyroid. He said everything was normal, and he said, well, you have anxiety, so we're going to treat you for anxiety. Okay. And what ended up happening, you guys, I was on this wild goose chase. Every time I was going into his office, he was changing the protocol, and I really didn't have a clear direction. So after a couple months, I was like, we're done, right? Because there wasn't a plan laid out, and things were being just stuck in randomly, right? It wasn't really like putting together a puzzle piece. So I'm going to bring Chris in for this, but we're going to talk about the power of food and lifestyle, which Chris and I think we've talked about this a little bit earlier, but the power of food, you guys, I have seen firsthand filling in those nutritional gaps for my thyroid, what that did for my body, what that did for my life, what that did for my thyroid. I am not only in the normal range per the doctor, but I'm in functional ranges for all of my labs. I still have inflammatory responses. I still have a few other things that I'm working on. But at this point, my thyroid is functioning at optimal ranges. And it did that because I had a very clear plan. I used the power of food. I used food as medicine, and I changed my lifestyle. I started buying clean shampoo products and skincare products and hair care products. And I started removing those thyroid blockers from my life, and my life changed, right? The energy is there. The inflammatory responses are still there, still figuring that out. But, all of these puzzle pieces come together, but I have a plan. I now know that the area that I need to work on is that lymphatic system, right? I need to get those toxins out of my body so that those inflammatory responses go down. So Chris, actually one more thing, and then I'll have Chris jump in here. Okay, so one of the things that I see, Chris sees, especially with the people that we work with in the Hansen method, you guys, is these gut infections, SIBO, candida, things like that, that are blocking the absorption of the food. Those are huge thyroid blockers. And many of the people, and I don't know if it's just this week or what's going on, but people are saying, I have IBS, or I have all of these gut infections, not gut infections, I have gut diagnoses, that's the right word.
Diagnoses.
And so we have to be looking at that and seeing, is that playing into the thyroid blockers or the factors that are dysregulating the thyroid? So what do you want to add for food and lifestyle, Chris?
It's the top of the priority. You can't get to the pyramid without starting there. So what your doctor can give you medication, which will be another medication, which will be another medication and another medication, because like Shannon said, we're going to start, say, with the thyroid, then we're going to get one for PCOS, and then we're going to top that off with anxiety or depression, because we know with thyroid, hypo is depression, hyper is anxiety. And man, can you imagine if you're volleying between hypo and hyper? They're going to give you a concoction that basically, like, that's like strapping you in on a roller coaster and just letting you go. So medication controls your functioning. And this is what I want to ask you. Now remember, I take medication every day. If I don't, like, quite honestly, I would die, right? Like, I don't have a thyroid and I need it. But if you stop taking your meds and the symptoms come back, and you don't, and you have a functioning thyroid, it's just impaired, like we've been talking about, then that tells us we haven't addressed the root cause.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. All right, so from here, if you guys are interested in chatting a little bit more with us about what we do, how we help you, if we can help you, all of that, I'm gonna just drop this in the chat box. My goal with these thyroid breakthrough calls is to help you more specifically get answers. Help you say, oh, okay, we need to go back to the bowels, okay? Or maybe that's working. Okay, so now your focus is going to be that liver. So whatever it is, our goal here is to help support you where you're at, what you need, and help you move forward. So if you guys are on live, we're going to open it up for some question and answers. If you guys want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to do that. You can type it in the chat box, whatever. I know
This is
there
when
was,
people freeze.
I know people are like, I don't want to be the first one to ask a question.
But this is it, guys. This is why we do these trainings, so that you can start getting these foundations in place, right? You're already knowing, like Jen said, she's already knows that, you know, her gut is telling her one thing. And I'm not sure, C. Murphy, what your first name is, but like Heather hasn't commented either. But that's okay, because again, we meet you where you are. And if you don't have that comfort level, then it's hard.
Yeah.
And especially with thyroid, is it fair to say, especially with thyroid, we don't vocalize, right? That's one of the connectors with the chakras. So we don't vocalize, we suppress, we allow things to happen. We still could be very A-type personality and charge and demand, but the emotional connection and how we're expressing it isn't there. So we totally get if you're just not willing to. And that's why we say jump in on a call and we can kind of go over it with you.
Yeah, okay, so Jen is asking, is there a good place to start when looking at our diet, like a certain food group, carbs, sugars, etc.? I'll start, and then I know Chris is gonna have a lot to add in here. Okay, so a good place to start is, I'm gonna say, this is something that we teach, is food combining. Most people aren't eating balanced meals, and we need to balance the meals first and foremost to fill in nutritional gaps, to balance hormones, and to help the body be hungry and satiated and balance blood sugar levels. Because if that's not happening, then you're going to always be battling that blood sugar roller coaster, right? So that's number one. Number two is, oftentimes we have certain foods that react very poorly in our body, and we want to teach you how to address those things. A lot of people struggle with processing dairy and gluten, and in the Hansen method, we teach you methods to test for foods that are reacting very poorly. And then, of course, sugar is something that we want to cut out. But Chris, why don't you give us a high level of where to start with food?
Exactly. Food combining is, number one, chewing. Digestion starts in your mouth. And how many of your doctors have told you that? How many of your doctors have said, eat a different diet? Or have they just told you that you need to lose weight? The end. See you later. Eat less sugar or lay off the pizza and the soda. Because we have a client that has totally, her doctor has said that to her, sadly.
Yeah.
So, guys, where do you start? Like, what if I told you that you need to go gluten-free and dairy-free and soy-free? You need to maybe omit your nightshades. You have to maybe look at lectins. You have to take away your sugars, your preservatives, your nitrates, your sulfites, your MSG, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Or I say, get into a program that can support you, that you don't have to think that, and it does it seamlessly. That's what I am so convicted towards, because I am telling you, I don't know how many years I've spent doing this. And I mean, I have an education for it, right? Not 1, 2, 3 designations. And it's crazy. So we can go as hard knocks or as, fluid as we want with nutrition. But until you start to know exactly how to combine things and how to chew properly and when you're supposed to be eliminating, really, that's where I would start. Chewing, food combining, and pooping.
Yeah. So Jen, type in the chat, did that answer your question? And while you're doing that, I'll tell you just a little bit about what food combining looks like so that you know how to build a plate, right? So big things we want on their plate is 4 different things.
Oh, we got a yes, it did. Woohoo!
Okay, good. So like a protein source, okay, usually we like to stick to animal proteins, organic, grass-fed, things like that.
But not break the budget or put yourself financially in ruin to do that. We don't support that at all.
Yes, absolutely. A good carbohydrate, a good healthy fat, and veggies. Those are the 4 things that we really like to see on those plates. And snacks. Chris, you want to tell us about some snacks?
Oh yeah, we want to see lots of fruits. I mean, how many people are going to tell you this? We want to see fruits, lots of fruits in your diet. We want to see them depending on your blood sugar and how that's aligning. We want to see it maybe combined with a healthy fat or a healthy fat with a protein. So it really depends on how you're oxidizing. By oxidizing, I mean how fast you're processing and metabolizing these foods and using them as sources of energy. Because with all these blockers, you saw the pyramid, with all these blockers, you might not be metabolizing. I can eat rice and be full for 4 hours. Yeah, I know what that means. I won't bore you guys with the details, but it's not a good thing. We should be able to digest a lot faster. So I am such a slow oxidizer that I really have to be careful in how I pair things. And when people come into the group and they're like, oh, I had digestive upset, or, I really didn't feel good, or we call it the food, mood, and poop journal. When they fill that out, I'm pretty quick to look and go, oh goodness, here we go, bing, bing, bing. I don't know how I do it, guys. I just do it. I just see things that other people don't see. I don't claim to be a miracle worker, but it would like a halo. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. But just know that, we really want you chewing, we really want you digesting, and we really want you pooping.
Yes. Yep. And there is a training in the Facebook group on the exact food, mood, poop journal that we use in the program. If you guys want that, let me know. Any other questions before we wrap up today? She's listening to Frozen, you guys. A lot of, yeah.
No, your liver needs fruits, your liver needs proper carbohydrates. And guess what? Do you have brain fog, Jen? Because I'm going to think you have brain fog based on that. If we don't have enough glucose from natural sources like our fruits and our vegetables, our brain, that's the number one fuel it goes off of, and our brain is also 60% fat. So if we're not aligning these properly and feeding it, here's the problem.
Yes.
Okay.
I have brain fog. Yep.
There we go.
So that could be a huge, like a quick win for you, Jen, right? Like adding in those fruits and those healthy fats. An apple with some cashews, some almonds, you know, just small amounts, right?
Nice red apple, nice and soft. 2 hours after, do this, Jen. A nice red apple after your breakfast, or at around 2 o'clock, depending on when your snack time is on those two. If you can make that organic, I would love to see it organic. Shannon's like, oh, Chris.
No.
No, but it's true. It's just highly GMO'd. That's one of the external toxins we don't want in. But if you can get that red apple in, or even half of a green apple for glycemic load, and you can throw it with, like an almond butter or some cashews, walnuts, that's what I want. I want walnuts.
Wow.
Okay, that's what I want to see. You do that and let us know, get back to us and let us know how you feel after that.
Yeah.
And if you start pooping better.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want to share that, right, Jen? Hey guys, I want to talk about my poop. We love to talk about poop. We don't think anything of it. Our families don't think anything of it. But I know when you first start talking about it, it can be a little bit, of a shy normalcy.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. She says, I'll definitely try that. Okay. Anybody else? I feel like some of the people are like listening with headphones at work. And so they're like trying to pretend to do their work and still listen.
But that's okay. You know what? They can also, email us or throw a question in the chat. And, guys, if you want this replay, please tag your name. Again, we didn't get the name of C. Murphy, but
I think I can figure it out. I mean, unless
based on the enrollee.
Based off, yeah. And we will be following up with everybody tomorrow. We want to make sure that this adds value to your life, and that you got what you needed from this training. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for being here. We will see you later. Okay.